Hi students, welcome to this particular video by IMS where I will be walking you through the form filling process for ISB's PGP-YL program. As you all know, last year the Indian School of Business launched its new program, the PGP-YL program, Young Leaders Program, especially meant for those who have 0 to 2 years of work experience. The brand ISB is still brand ISB, and therefore it's a very, very good opportunity for people with either no work experience or up to 2 years of work experience to get into this program. And today I will be helping you through the form filling process for this particular reputed program. Now, the PGP-YL program, as one would have already read about, is a 20-month full-time program, and the deadline for the same is approaching very fast. It's 11:59 p.m. On the 14th of December 2025. So while you're watching this video, you would have to accelerate your last minute preparation in terms of the form filling or the application process for this program. And that's why we are here to help you, guide you through this process of how you can optimize your answers, make sure that you make no mistakes while filling this important form. So let's get started with some details initially about the profile of the students who have been a part of the first cohort of the ISB PGP-YL program. We'll get into some more details starting with the age and gender. The cohort size is of 130 students. The average age has been noted to be 23 years. There's been a 50% female representation in this particular cohort. We also have some statistics from about the undergraduate programs which the students belonging to this program come from. We have the majority coming from the engineering profile, engineering undergraduate majors, about 47%. We have a good chunk of people from commerce, finance, and accounting as well as some areas like business and management, humanities, even medical and sciences constitute a good chunk together of the overall cohort. Now, we also have some information about the work experience profile of this cohort. As you can see, roughly about 68%, roughly about 2/3 of the class actually come with some amount of work experience, whereas 32%, or broadly speaking, 1 out of every 3, come with basically 0 years of work experience. So 33% of freshers basically in this cohort. That's a good number. The average test score, so as you know that this particular program accepts the CAT, accepts the GMAT focused edition, and accepts the GRE. Now, for the CAT, we have noticed that the average test score is more than 99 percentile. For the GRE, it's a score of 327, whereas for the GMAT focused edition, it's a score of 677. So these are the summarized statistics of the demographics of the class profile of the people who have made it to this particular program in its first inaugural year in 2024. This should give you an idea of the kind of people who could be accepted in the next season of admissions. Now let's quickly revise the eligibility criteria so that you are eligible for this particular program before you decide to submit the application process for it. From an educational qualification standpoint, you just have to have a bachelor's degree or an equivalent program in any particular discipline. There is no limitation on the discipline for you. Even the final year students of their undergraduate program can apply. Coming to test scores, you need to have a valid GMAT or a GRE or a CAT score, and the GREs needs to be center administered only. Now, these three tests, we have already discussed the average test scores that were received in the inaugural year, and the CAT 2025 score will be considered for this particular admission season. Now, when it comes to work experience, this is the differentiating factor. No more than 24 months of work experience as on 15th June 2026. That is the expectation of this particular program. So by the time that you finish your application season and you enter the program in the year 2026, by 15 June 2026, you should not be having more than 2 years of work experience. The additional requirement here is that if the medium of instruction of your undergraduate program has not been English, then an equivalent IELTS or TOEFL score may be required, so that you can justify to the panelists who are reviewing your application that the medium of instruction, which will be English, that will be the one delivered for the program. You will be able to meet that eligibility criteria. So that's the basic eligibility criteria summed up in terms of educational qualification, test score, work experience, and any other additional requirement in terms of a English proficiency test. Now, last year we did not have any much data about whether what kind of percentiles and the cutoffs or what kind of profile of students ISB PGP-YL program is looking at. This year we have some data to share with you to help you answer the question of whether or not you should apply to ISB PGP-YL. Now, here are the profile details of a couple of students from IMS who went and got and secured an admission into the prestigious program, the PGP-YL program. You can see the CAT percentile details in the first column. You can also see information about their past academics in terms of their 10th, 12th and undergraduation GPA. You can also see instances of students who have some amount of work experience, say 7 months or 22 months, and in any cases they don't have any work experience. So a good mix of students profiles as an example is visible in front of you. As you see, 98.86 is the bottommost percentile that is mentioned. Our safe recommendation here is that if you are having an estimated CAT percentile, CAT 25 percentile of 98.5 or more, I think it makes sense for you to apply to this particular program. Because the outcomes that you can expect from the ISB program, ISB as the tag, ISB as the brand, will be very, very beneficial for your short-term as well as your long-term goals. So broadly, a 90-90-80 kind of an academic profile with a 98.5 plus percentile in the CAT and an equivalent GRE, GMAT kind of a profile of a score is expected when you're applying to this particular program. Lower scores, I'm not saying that they don't have a chance of getting a shortlist, but you need to have some or the other kind of a spike in your profile, in your resume. It can be an academic spike, it can be a spike in terms of any social activity or a tremendous work experience profile that you bring to the table. There needs to be some kind of a noticeable spike in your profile that can attract the attention of the reviewers and can probably compensate for the lower test score as well as maybe sometimes even a lower academic profile. So this is what you should consider at the time of filling and completing the application process for the ISB PGP-YL program. Now let's get started with the application form in itself, right? And most of the details that are mentioned as part of the form, I would highly recommend all of you to study the points mentioned in as much detail as possible. I'd also like to highlight before I move on to the remaining part of the form that you may think that, okay, sir is mentioning 98.5 plus percentile in the CAT. Well, IMS percentile predictor is the tool that you should refer to if you want to know, basis your CAT 25 response sheet, how much percentile you are estimating, and you can find the details of the same in the description below. Use that to understand what CAT percentile you are estimating basis the response sheet that you submit, and get an idea of your estimated CAT percentile from there, and then see if it's more than 98.5 percentile for sure. You have a good chance of securing a decent chance you have in terms of getting the interview call from the ISB PGP-YL program. Now moving on to the application form. This is the starting of the application form. You have to mention your personal email. Do not mention your work email or your institute domain email address. Mention your personal email. It can be a Gmail, it can be a Yahoo, it can be a basic personal email domain address. Mention your basic details like your first name, your last name, your primary country or country of citizenship, your current country, details about your current total work experience, the industry that you have the work experience from. You should also mention your contact information. And here at the bottom, you should select the program that you're interested in. And that's the program that you're going to choose as ISB PGP-YL program. Then after you submit the basic details, you will receive a confirmation email. You will access the same to start with your application process on the dashboard. Excuse me. Now you're applying for the PGP-YL program. You're applying for the cohort of 2026-2028. And when you access your dashboard, this is what you will see. Your status of admission will be shown as started. You will get a confirmation that, okay, this is the admission round one, whose deadline is 14th December, as mentioned, 14th December, end of day. You will see these details in the email that you received. You will see your name and you will understand, okay, thank you for starting your application process. Your application number, you need to note that down. And once you note down your application number, after that you just have to keep a track of how much percentage your application is complete. And viewing that, you will be able to understand how much you need to further complete your application process before the deadline of 14 December. Now, this is the starting point of the application form, where you will see your application number at the top and you will see some basic details about the ISB PGP-YL program. So you'll see details like, okay, ISB PGP-YL is a 20-month full-time residential program. There will be some details about the minimum requirements. So for example, the undergraduate degree requirement will be mentioned. Up to 24 months of full-time work experience will be mentioned as of June 15th, 2026. A valid test score and the additional requirement in terms of English proficiency. So all the details that I already mentioned in terms of the eligibility criteria are going to be reminded to you as a part of starting this process. Now, on this side, you will see the different steps that you will have to fulfill in terms of completing the application form. You will start by putting in your personal details, then your educational details. Then you will mention in that interesting section of awards and activities, awards and recognitions. Then you will pen down your professional experience details. You will also talk about any other courses that you've done. An interesting section in this form is the essays section, followed by the recommendations that you have to receive from a credible recommender in your network. And you can end the form with the details of your test score. Either you already have it or you're awaiting the results of the same. And if you have any other additional requirements in terms of language proficiency that you have to mention. So these are the different steps which will complete the form. I must remind you that even though the deadline is soon going to approach, take a good amount of time in terms of understanding what the form is trying to ask of you. Keep your details from your recommender ready. Proofread all the submissions and the answers of the essays that you type in, and we'll come across each and every section that I'm talking to you about. But these are some of the things that you need to keep in mind with the deadline, of course, approaching very soon. Now, I'll walk you through each and every section a little bit in detail, but I'll also request you that each of the instructions that are mentioned and in every section of the form, I would expect all of you to do that homework in terms of reading through it while you're referring to this particular video for the tips and tricks about the application form. Just note that if you have applied to one of the programs in the past, you will be considered as a reapplicant. You can always refer to the got queries section if you have any particular issues that or any particular questions that are still unresolved for you. And if you are a reapplicant, then you must tick on that reapplicant button. It is just for the reference sake. It's not going to impact your chances of application. It's again asking you if you've completed the bachelor's degree and what is the total number of full-time work experience months that you possess. So once you fill this information, you can proceed to the next step. Your basic details in terms of your name and everything will be auto captured. You just have to mention your birth date as well as your gender. And then on this side, you have to attach some information. You have to attach your profile photo. The clear instructions of what constitutes a good profile photo have been mentioned over here. It should have a neutral background, a professional expression. Your face should be fully visible. The file size maximum should be 2 MB. So all these details are mentioned. You can upload the same, and you can also preview how your profile photo is appearing. Then you have to move on to the next step, which is the details of your alternate contact information. So your alternate email, mobile phone, any other alternate mobile phone that you want to mention, and details of your permanent area of residence. You also have to mention some details about proof of identity. So any kind of a KYC document, they have mentioned details about passport. Then even if you don't have a passport, your Aadhaar details will do. So your passport or Aadhaar number, then the issuing country, and that should complete your KYC section. You also have to upload that document, which will complete this KYC process as well. So just ensure that whatever name that you are registering your application form process with, that name matches with the details in the KYC document that you upload, either the passport or the Aadhaar number. Now, moving on, there's some other information that they're also seeking. They first want to know what is your preferred interview location. Usually, there are a couple of cities that are mentioned over here, and including there's an option of virtual or online. You can also mention details about, you also can mention as an optional field, you can mention your LinkedIn profile as well. So you can paste your LinkedIn profile link in this particular box, and the reviewers can access your LinkedIn account as well to review it. There's some supplemental information which they are asking for in terms of whether or not you possess any kind of physical disability. So you can mention those details truthfully and genuinely, and you can mention, you can give a small description of what physical disability that you are referring to. Now, let's move on to the next section, which is the educational details. So this is the screenshot from the form. All the details of whatever you need to fill in this particular section of educational details have been mentioned. The steps, the instructions have already been given as a part of the form. They've been very elaborate in and explicit in terms of what details they are expecting out of you. Firstly, the important thing to note here is that there is no requirement of you to fill your 10th standard information. So while 10th standard is something that is asked in multiple application forms, even your CAT process and your IMS process takes that into account. Here, the 10th standard details you don't have to mention. You have to mention your 12th standard details, and at least one bachelor's level information or professional degree is mandatory to be put. If you have more than one degree in a certain type, for instance, let's say you have two undergraduate degrees, then you can name one in the undergraduate section in the education section and the other in the other courses section that will come after that. So all the other information you can note down in detail. You have to submit the mark sheets or the transcripts of all the completed semesters or the years that you mention. And if there's more than one document, then you have to merge them into a single document in terms of completing the process. So that's the section of the main education. So apart from the main education, you also have other courses that you can fill information about. So for programs and courses which are other than your regular UG bachelor's degree, you need to mention that in the other courses section. So even if you have, let's say, multiple undergraduate degrees, you can mention that here. No two activities can be entered as full time in the same or overlapping time period. Obviously, it needs to be in different non-overlapping time periods. And all certificate programs on courses that you've done, other than your bachelor's, master's, or integrated programs, can be listed in the other courses section. So if you've done some certifications apart from your regular UG or PG, if in case you have a UG and a PG, both can be mentioned over here. The other courses can be mentioned over here. So they've also given some instructions in terms of how to report the GPA. People often have queries around the GPA, so I'm just narrating that for you. So example, if your GPA is 8.562, you can enter to the two decimal places, which is 8.56. You can mention in the application form, but don't mention it as 8.5 or 8.6. Basically, don't do the rounding up or rounding down. Mention to the best of two decimal places that you have the information. Some other details for the education details in the educational details section. So if you are a person from a medical education background, the clear instructions have been given over here, and same is the case for CAs. So for CAs, a lot of times the aspirants ask questions, so it's clearly mentioned here that for CA, articleship or internship of a minimum 3 years is a mandatory requirement of the program in itself. So when you're doing that program, it's a mandatory component of obtaining the CA qualification, and therefore it is to be entered in the professional experience section. It's not a part of your educational details, it's a part of your professional experience. The CA articleship will not be considered towards your work experience while determining your eligibility criteria. So this is the broad guidelines which have been given to you by the ISB PGP-YL team, especially for CAs. Now, this is how the educational details forms looks like. So you have to enter your class 12 details. You have to mention the time period from when to when you were part of your higher secondary education. You have to mention your GPA or percentage. Usually it's percentage based scale, but you can have GPA based scale as well, and they allow for both. So you have to mention how much you got out of a scale of how much. So all those details are mentioned. If you have any kind of a rank that you've received, then you can also mention that. It's an optional field for you to mention. Next is the details of where you did your schooling from. So you can mention those details, and you can also upload your mark sheets, and that should take care of that process. If you have any kind of a pass or provisional certificate, there's also an option to mention that here as an optional field. So definitely you have uploaded your 12th mark sheet, and you can preview that information, and then you can proceed to the next part of the educational details, which is to mention your undergraduate degree. Similar kind of a look and feel over here. For the undergraduate degree, you have to mention what is the name of the degree, what field of study you have done it from, the duration of the course, and from which date to which date you have completed the UG program. Again, you have the opportunity to mention both your GPA or your percentage out of how much, and you have the opportunity to talk about your class rank, if any. So that's an optional field. You complete this particular subsection with the details of where you did your, which location you did your UG from, and that takes care of that entire educational details bit. So you've entered your 12th standard and you've entered your UG level information. Coming to the awards and recognition bit. So in the awards and recognition bit, what they're looking for. So this is a section where you are essentially showcasing your profile through the awards, the recognitions, the achievements, and the different activities that you've done in your life. So it can be in a space of education. So it can be an educational achievement, it can be a professional achievement, or otherwise. I mean, it depends on what is the level of achievement and what qualifies to you as a significant achievement which you would like to share with the ISB PGP panel. So read through these instructions, and basically the highlight here is that you have to talk about any notable achievements. If it's notable enough for you, then do mention that, but don't fill up the entire application form with a laundry list of achievements that you may feel are achievements, but actually they may or may not be perceived as one. So maybe always take a second opinion from someone in your family or in your network, and you should be good to go in that case. Right. So you start with what the title of that award that you've received. So you can mention the details of the award. You can mention when you received it, whether it's an academic reward or otherwise, and little bit details about what that achievement signifies. So for example, this is a scholarship received at a college level in 2021, and this was awarded for what? For being in the top 1% of the batch. So give an explanation for what your award is actually standing for and why you received it. Give context, always give metrics, top 1%, rank so out of so and so. Always give some context to the award or the achievement that you've received, and that always highlights your application for that. You can also similarly mention activities. So it's not required that always you would have received some achievement, some recognition or award or secured a first place. You don't have to always have uh, that victory that you would have got in the activity that you've done. Some activities could be like, okay, the activity name is Mood Indigo, the event of IIT Bombay, and it was a college level event, and this is the activity that you did. So you can mention the area of activity as other, and you can talk about what you did as part of handling Mood Indigo as a fest. So other activities provide a very good opportunity for you to show the versatility that you bring to the table. You can mention academic achievements, you can mention professional achievements, but ISB is also giving you the opportunity to mention other achievements which may not have a victory or a position or a rank associated to it, but it's some notable thing that you've done. Moving on to the next section, which is the professional experience section. And oftentimes aspirants have a lot of questions about, okay, what should I consider as professional experience? Should I consider this and should I consider that? See, the standing instruction is very clear, right? Full-time paid work experience after your undergraduate program is definitely considered to be a part of professional experience. And here the professional experience, once again, I'm reiterating, is going to be allowed for a maximum of 24 months or 2 years till 15th June 2026. So if you have that kind of a professional experience that you can show record of and not more than that, then this is the eligibility that you have fulfilled and you will be able to proceed forward with the application. So use this section to list all your professional experiences, full-time jobs, internships, on-campus jobs, other employment that you've held as a student. So what ISB is trying to do different is that, okay, full-time jobs is definitely going to be considered as part of your professional experience, but students would have done more than that. Especially students who have only 0 to 2 years of work experience would have had other engagements in terms of a professional capacity that they would have fulfilled. And therefore, ISB is interested to know about those details from you as well. So some of the tips that they have asked you to keep in mind, I encourage all of you to read through the tips as part of the application form. Very critical that you go through each of these instructions in detail. It will not be possible for me to read through every single statement as part of this video, but broadly covering, broadly summarizing, again reiterating the eligibility criteria, that your full-time post-qualification work experience should not exceed 24 months. So that period should be less than 24 months. The other areas that you are talking about, the other work that you are talking about, internships, on-campus jobs, is not a part of those 24 months that we are referring to as the eligibility criteria. So coming to the specific section of the form talking about the professional experience, you can talk about, okay, if you have, for example, in a current employment somewhere, let's say you're working somewhere, you're looking to, for example, quit or relieve yourself from that particular role if you get into the ISB PGP-YL program, but you're still working and you want to mention that. So current employment is what you need to tick. You need to mention from when have you started to work in that organization. You need to fill details about the organization, mention the details of the company's website. You need to mention details about the industry that the company belongs to, as well as a subcategory of the industry. So very detailed approach to categorizing your professional experience is something that the form is trying to capture. The form is also asking you the option if you've done a CA articleship, so you can tick on that. You can mention, therefore, type of employment. So you can mention a full-time, was it a full-time employment or was it a part-time employment? And within the type of employment, there's a subtype. So all possible permutation combinations are possible. So it can be a full-time employed, it can be self-employed, it can be freelancing. A lot of people today are doing gig work. So freelancers are up and coming. So you can be a freelancer and you can mention that. It can be an internship that you would have done during your undergraduate program or your undergraduate or post-graduation program. You could be a trainee after undergraduation. That also option is given to you. So whatever possible permutation combinations of your type of employment and subtype of employment, you can definitely mention that over here. They're also interested to capture your annual compensation. So you can mention your current in terms of the right currency, what salary, what CTC you are drawing at an annual level. And a little bit details about the function or regarding the role that you are fulfilling in the organization is also something that they are interested to know. Your function as well as the responsibilities that you are fulfilling as part of your role in the organization. They're also just asking you whether or not you have any kind of a gap in terms of your work experience. So that gap, they're interested to know whether or not you have a gap of 3 months or more between your education and your employment, or between any two employments that you would have taken. So you can mark that accordingly, whether or not you have some kind of a work gap of 3 months or more. Uh, After all of that, your total calculated full-time work experience will be popping up over here, and your total calculated part-time work experience will be mentioned over here. So that will give a good summary of your professional experience overall, and that will conclude that particular section. You also have details that you can mention about other courses, like I mentioned, certifications or something like that. This is the opportunity for you to highlight that. So for example, you can enter all certificate programs, any diplomas, any short-term courses that you have done. You can mention the details of the program, the title of the program, who is the issuing body that has given you that certification, what was the mode in which you fulfilled that particular course, and the details of the course in terms of from which date to which date you were able to complete that program. So all the details regarding that particular certification you would be able to do. Now, as part of profile building activities, we always recommend that, okay, you should try taking up this certification or that program. And some of those elements can be definitely captured here. So for example, if you, in this example, we have mentioned, okay, if you've done an advanced Excel course, so you've done it from a certain place and you can mention that. You've done a digital marketing course, you can mention that. Let's say today, these days, you're doing a generative AI course. So you can mention that. So details of your courses are another opportunity for you to highlight your skill set to the reviewer, to the panelists sitting at ISB PGP-YL program chair. The next section is interesting, which is the essay section. This essay section is a very good thought process in terms of course, limited by certain words, and tests your ability to not completely depend on a tool like ChatGPT to come up with your own answers for the three questions that I have posed in front of you. So let me walk you through some of those through these three topics and give you our recommended tips and tricks in terms of perfecting this particular section. So in the essay section, the first question is having a word limit of 400 words, and you have to describe basically a personal situation in which you assumed a leadership position without any formal authority. So how did you motivate and influence the others during this experience? So what comes at the top of my mind is, for example, if you were a part of a sports team and you were officially not a sports team in your locality, in your college, anything in your personal life, right? And let's say that you were not the captain or the vice captain of the team, assuming it's a team sport. Maybe some emergency happened because of which the captain or the vice captain was not available. Or maybe you could have been coaching a team yourself and you would have had a leadership experience there. So I'm just giving an example to you to trigger your thoughts. There would be certain examples like that in your personal life, in your personal capacity, that you would have had an instance where you would have to show up and assume some leadership role to solve a particular personal situation or problem. So what challenges did you encounter in that particular situation is what they're interested to know, and what insights that did you gain from that experience. So what they're looking for is a fitment towards being a potential leader in the future, how well you have managed people around you, how well you have understood stakeholders' problems and solved them, how much potential you possess through this experience that can make you a very good, successful manager and a visionary leader in the future. So these are the areas that they are possibly looking to test, and it's a very good and interesting, thought-provoking thing to think about and answer this particular question. In essay 2, again, you have a word limit of 400 words. You have to mention what unique experiences and perspectives do you as a candidate bring to the table at ISB PGP-YL program. So in the cohort which is going to be selected for the next season, what unique skill sets, what unique traits, what unique qualities. It can be a soft quality, a hard quality, it can be an emotional quality, it can be an intellectual quality. But what such qualities do you bring to the table is what they're interested to know. How do you intend to contribute to the diversity of thought that exists in the program's cohort? And they're looking for some specific examples to support your answer, to illustrate your point. So here too, you can talk about your own experiences where or rather you can first talk about the skill set or the thought process or the unique quality, and you can support it with some experiences from your life. So that's what they're expecting from this particular essay. And in essay number 3, which is having a shorter word limit, it's having 250 words as the word limit. They're asking for what impact do you aim to create after completing the PGP-YL program in the short term as well as in the long term. So this is where they're looking for your ambitions, your dreams, how and why you want to leverage the ISB PGP-YL program in terms of making that the choice for you to take your career forward. That is what they're looking to test out of that. And here you have to really structure your thought process because you have very limited words to answer. You can choose to mention some specific companies that you would like to work with, companies who have been historically known to come to ISB placements, or you may play it safe and you may say that, okay, I want to work in healthcare, or let's say you may say that I want to have my own entrepreneurial venture in the future. You may also say that, okay, I'm already from, let's say, a business background. I want to upskill myself. I already have trained myself in a particular field. I want to upskill myself. Or you may say that, okay, I want to pivot my career from a technical field to a techno-functional role, or from a technical field to a business role. So there can be a number of reasons, and it's essentially drawing on that why MBA question. And why MBA? To help you achieve what in the future. So your short-term goal, for example, can be to become a marketing manager, or it can be to become a corporate analyst, or it can be to become a management consultant and solve some interesting problems for your clients. Your long-term goal can be linked to the purpose, the vision statement of your life. For example, you want to build the country's renewables ecosystem and therefore contribute to the environment in that regard. You want to work in education, you want to work in healthcare, you want to work in pharma. You can mention some long-term vision goals that will bring impact to your life, to the community around you, to the country around you. So these are the ways in which you can think of structuring your thoughts for this particular question. Talk about the short-term goals, how ISB can help as a platform, as the lever to take you from where you are right now in point A to point B with the help of ISB PGP-YL program. And with that foundation that is created with ISB PGP-YL, how can you, or how are you looking to accelerate that and take it forward for a 10-year, 15-year plan that you've charted out for yourself? This is how you need to think about this particular question and chart out your answer. So the next section is the recommendation section, and we are coming to the end of the form filling process with this recommendation section. They're looking for people, obviously credible people, people either from academia or from your professional experiences, who can recommend you, who can give the stamp that this is the person, this is the right person for the ISB PGP-YL program. So the admissions committee is giving a suggestion that the recommendation must come from a direct supervisor. That direct supervisor can be from either an internship or a part-time job, as I said, or it can be even a faculty member. So even from the world of academia. So this is the recommendation that they're looking for. They also would like to clarify that the recommendations from ISB alumni do not receive any special consideration. So you don't have to think that, okay, my recommender should be someone who's an alumnus of ISB PGP-YL or ISB as an institution. If you have, then great. You can mention the person, if they want to, can mention that, but it doesn't have to be that. So don't worry if you don't have a person within the ISB alumni network who should be recommending to you. It can be any person. The point is, the person needs to be should have been your direct supervisor in a professional or a academic capacity, and that it cannot be a personal recommender. Better to go for a professional recommender or a person from your academia, from your faculty members who have taught you in the past directly. Those should be the people who should be recommending you for a professional program like the ISB PGP-YL. Right. So in the recommendation, they're just looking for one recommendation, right? And your recommendation deadline is also 14 December 2025. So please make sure, if you haven't already, to get the recommendation from your recommender before the deadline approaches. You just have to mention the details of the recommender. So the name of the recommender, the organization or institution that they belong to, what position they hold, the basic contact details, and the email address. The email address is important because the person recommending you will be receiving the recommendation form or the option to give you a recommendation via email. So mention the email address accurately, and if you have any message that you would like to communicate to the recommender, that option is also available for you over here. You can send a message to the recommender. Now, in the recommendation section, once you click on this button, the email will go to the recommender, and the recommender will receive an option. He or she will have the opportunity to have a click and then fill up the answers to various questions. Some of them will be objective in nature and some of them will be subjective in nature, which they will have to fill and complete the process of recommendation. So in the test score section, what you are expected to mention is details about either the tests that you've already taken or the tests whose results you are anticipating will come in the coming times. So some of the FAQs have been mentioned here around the test scores. So you have to submit at least one of the three, which is GMAT, GRE or CAT. That is one of the three is mandatory. For GMAT or GRE, ISB is accepting only test center based scores. So that is very critical. No consideration for online or take home tests. You have to use the upload section within this particular test score section for submitting the test score report and the test center slip. The score should contain the appointment number and the registration number. In case you have selected CAT, you just have to fill the application. You have to fill the application, CAT took place already, so you can fill the application with the details of the CAT, registration number and everything. And then once the results are out, you can update the CAT percentile and the other score details related to the scorecard. Now, the first section is regarding the GRE. So if you have opted or if you are opting to go with the GRE, then these are the details that you have to mention: the email address, the test date, the registration number, the details of the score in the verbal and the quantitative section, as well as the AWA subsection. And then you have to mention the date, about when did you request ETS or Pearson VUE to report your official scorecard to ISB. So these details, upon getting filled, will complete the GRE part of the test score section. Then similarly, there will be a subsection for the GMAT focused edition. You will have to fill in your basic details of the test. You have also to mention whether or not you've taken the GMAT more than once. Then the score details of every section, the verbal section, quantitative, and the data insight score section, making up the total, and that should complete the application from a GMAT perspective. Now, for the CAT, which is what a lot of IMS students would also be obviously taking and using the CAT to apply for the ISB PGP-YL program, your name as per the CAT registration or the CAT application form that you have filled at the time of applying for CAT, and the CAT user ID or the application number. So these two details, which will be mentioned on your application form, should be exactly as it is that you are filling over here. Then you have the option to upload your CAT test registration letter. You mention that, and then the process for CAT in the test score section is also going to be over. Now, the next section will be to upload certain documents. So after all of this is already filled by you, all these different sections are being completed, you have to fill three different things, which is or upload a couple of things like resume and proof of income. So let's take a look at what are the minute details regarding the same. So they are expecting that you will fill or upload these documents up to a maximum size of 2 MB each. They are scanned in full, and in the case of proof of income, you can upload the pay slip of any of the last 3 months. It doesn't matter. And for self-employed people, you have to provide a self-declaration along with the income of the last 12 months along with your professional details. So you always have the option of reaching out through the Got Queries section in case you have any questions about the documents and the nature of the documents that you need to upload. So the first thing that you have to upload is your resume. Now for the resume, there is a standard format. So you can access the standard format, which is already mentioned in the form. You can click here and download that standard format for the resume, and then fill your resume, fill the details of that standard format as per what they're expecting, and then upload that here. You can also click on this to preview how that whole thing is looking. Proof of income for self and college identity card. So the proof of income details I already mentioned. So you just have to merge all the documents together and upload it here, as well as the college identity card. So you must be having either a digital copy or you can take a scanned copy of your college undergraduate college identity card, and you can upload that here. So these three details upon uploading will complete the upload or the documents section of the particular entire application process. Finally, some declaration and consent needs to be given. So please go through these questions in detail and provide your consent This is just the fine print as part of the process that you need to complete. Finally, you will arrive at the final step, which is, again, you will see on your dashboard how much percentage of your application is complete. So here you can see it's 95% complete. With all the details that you've already mentioned, it will be 95% complete. The 5% will be completed once you make the payment. So once you make the payment, that process will be 100% over. You will again see the details of the status of your application and what is the deadline. And you will already see the information of the recommendation status of the recommender who has either given or not given their recommendation already. So you can re-verify the same over here. Now, the next step and the final step will be to make the payment. So in the application fee payment page, it's a standard fee of 2,500, yes, that you need to make the payment to complete this application process. You can make it through any of the modes available. There are standard modes that you can avail to finish the application process. So this takes care of the entire application process for the application form of the ISB PGP-YL program. Thank you so much for tuning in. And in case you have any last minute questions or tips and tricks that you're looking for that you still probably haven't gathered, or any unique situations related to your profile application are coming up, feel free to contact us by mentioning your query in the comment section, and our team will be more than happy to assist you in the same. This entire video has summarized the application form for the ISB PGP-YL. What I'd like to reiterate is that you need to be aware of the eligibility criteria. You need to ensure that the person recommending you is a person that you can trust, can give you good reviews, good praises about you, can highlight the skills and the qualities that you bring to the table. That's very important. You need to finish this entire process before 14th of December, 11:59 p.m. So that's very critical. And you need to take a look at what estimated CAT percentile, an equivalent score that you are getting in either the GRE or GMAT, but I'm going to talk to you guys specifically about the CAT. So if your estimated CAT 25 percentile is at least 98.5 and more, then definitely you should consider applying to this particular program. It's a program from a reputed B school like ISB. So you can check out the IMS percentile predictor. The details of the same will be mentioned in the description. You can access the same. You can use that. You can figure out what estimated CAT percentile you are anticipating, and basis that you can take a call whether or not you should apply to this particular program, which is the ISB PGP Young Leaders YL program. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hope this video was helpful to you to answer all your last minute queries related to the ISB PGP YL application process. I wish you all the best in this admission season. I'll see you soon. Bye.